Welcome to Left in the South podcast, episode 19. What's up, Caleb? Dude, it's episode 19, man. One episode away from 20.
Yeah, you remember that article you read about how every podcast, like most podcasts, don't make it past episode 4?
Fuck, yeah.
We did
episode
it, boys.
6, yeah. Like, fuck. I mean, yeah, we've been doing it, dude. We started this podcast, like, what? Back in November?
Something like
November
that,
3rd,
yeah.
I think. So,
Wow,
yeah,
that's kind of crazy.
We've been out here, man. Grinding. Yeah, fucking recording. Uploading clips.
Content just coming out left and right, all for free.
Games. Fucking, we're all over that shit. Yeah, but clips, yeah. So we're uploading some clips on YouTube. Check that out. If you haven't already subbed to our YouTube, what are you waiting for? Go ahead. It's Left in the South. Same thing as everywhere else. You know, and if you're feeling pretty generous, drop us a rating on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, we just had an exclusive
on Twitter, on iTunes. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, we just had an exclusive giveaway for all of our Twitter followers, and an even exclusiver giveaway for our Patreon supporters. So
congratulations.
Ultra generous.
Yeah, congratulations to moomoon.exe at Lena Paula Sylvia, or how do you pronounce your at? Sorry, at Hypno SXIII, at Blondie9221, and Grunt980, who won the Patreon giveaway. Congratulations.
There you go. So it pays off to be a supporter of this podcast.
Oh yes, dude.
We literally pay you to listen.
It's paid for the next 2 months now for our fucking Patreon. And if you're wondering how can you be a Patreon pledger, just go to patreon.com/leftinthesouth. That's all it is, man.
And what is our Twitter for all the people that want to go and follow our Twitter?
God, if you want to follow our Twitter,
Danes_Jacob.
Join us.
We drop banger tweets. We fucking comment on the trending hashtags. We're live tweeting debates if they're going on.
Lots of hidden gems on that Twitter account.
Hell yeah,
fucking sure. Just waiting for it to blow up.
God. But yeah, speaking of like fucking debates and shit like that, we're heading out political season. We're starting to see who might be the Dem, who they're gonna pick for their fucking the Dem candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the future of this podcast, dude. I mean, we used to like cover like news and politics, but lately it's just been politics. We still talk about current events, but we used to cover like actual like news articles.
Yeah, basically ever since the primary has been picking up, we've kind of been phasing out a lot of the news stuff because politics has been taking up such a huge chunk of the show.
Yeah,
that we didn't want to like fill the whole show with news and politics. But yeah, like David was saying, since we're kind of winding down on that and getting closer and closer to see who the nominee is, probably we're going to return more to like our original formula, which I think is actually better. It's more interesting because it gives us more varied topics to talk about,
news stories. But yeah, so change to come, definitely.
Yeah, but I'm excited for it because like I said, I like to vary everything up, just talking about Bernie and fucking Joe every day gets kind of old sometimes.
Yeah, we don't want to repeat ourselves, obviously we want Bernie to be the nominee. Fuck Biden. But
gang.
Yeah, how you been doing, dude? It's another week in the life.
Well, I have not left my house since last 2 Fridays ago. I've been in my home since then.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are just at home now.
Yeah, so it's been a quarantine. I've been getting a lot of self-care going on, a lot of drugs and alcohol.
Yes, of course.
A lot of video games and reading.
Hedonism.
Yes, those guilty, sloppy pleasures that you sometimes forget about when you're busy.
Yeah, dude. Like, I feel like, everyone's like, did you see that fucking the rich people? They made that like one cringy ass like song together.
The Imagine shit. Yeah, man. Honestly, like that was kind of
dude. They have to stay inside their fucking multi-million-dollar homes. no, fully staffed. Oh my god.
So funny, dude. Honestly, like that did make me kind of happy though to see so many people on Twitter just shitting all over them. Yeah, they're like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Get out of here."
God. Yeah, before we get into like Corona and shit, let's just cover the Dem debate since we missed that. Then debate happened. I think we both watched it live, right?
Yeah.
Bernie had, he tried to attack Biden. He did well, but I don't think he came out as strong as he needed to be. I think it showed in the last primary last Tuesday. I voted, of course, for Bernie still.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So David did his part, and like I just want to say, like, because we're gonna probably be phasing out a lot of this primary talk, like, if you're listening to this for some reason, wondering what we think about it, like, if you haven't voted yet, still do that. Still vote for Bernie. Like, no matter how bad it looks, that, like, even if it seems like he has no chance, like, just vote anyway, because it's still important to have your voice heard, even if ultimately we don't take the nomination. So don't give up. Because, you never know. You might be the one person who doesn't vote, and you're the reason that he lost, and you don't want to be that.
Honestly, dude. I was worried, like, what if I don't vote, and then Bernie loses by 1? That'd be my fault.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and you never know. So everyone go out and vote. And just because we're talking about him less on the show does not mean that we support him any less. We still want him to win.
Yes. And hopefully, I don't know, Joe Biden's been missing these last couple of days.
Yeah, I think we talk about that. What do you think? What the fuck is going on?
I think Biden's scared of catching corona and actually just fucking dying. So he's like just trying to stay quarantined himself and just stay away from everybody.
Yeah, some people are saying chances. Some people are saying they think he's sick or something. I'm like, I don't even think he's sick. I think that he doesn't want to get sick and fucking die because he's already barely living on the fucking national television anyway. But, like, second of all, I think his staff is just using this as an excuse not to, like, get him out in public. Because, like, they know that every time he gets on TV, he just looks like a fucking moron.
Yeah.
So this is a good excuse for him not to show his face ever.
Yeah.
Like, he was literally AWOL for, like, this whole entire week.
Yeah, that debate was really good. Like, I feel like when Bernie was hitting him, he was hitting him fucking hard and, like, making him answer to shit. Like, that he needed an answer to. And
there were a lot of moments where Biden made claims that were just blatantly false. And Bernie did, like, go hard on that.
Look on YouTube. Check out the video. Like, with the social
American people. Cuts. Go pull up the YouTubes.
Get out your phones right now and go to YouTube. I was like, okay.
Okay, Bernie.
That was funny as fuck.
Relax. Yeah, that was funny. I mean, I like that. But ultimately, like, the question is whether or not that will resonate with the average voters. And, like just based on polling and voting alone, like, it seems like that is not the case for some reason. So, I mean, we'll see.
People want fucking Medicare for all, but, they want Biden, who doesn't want that. Kind of weird.
Yeah, such an interesting phenomenon. Exit poll after exit poll, people, like, 80-90% of people saying, of course we want Medicare for all. Like, that is the most sensible thing, and it's one of my most important issues. And then in that very state, like, Biden takes 70% of the vote. It's like it's unbelievable to see, but I mean, that's the world, so you just have to come to terms with that, I guess.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, why do you think that is? Like, do you think people are just uninformed, or like?
Yeah.
Like, do they?
I think people think that people think that Biden does want Medicare for all, because he has said, like, his plan is Medicare for all who want it, and we're not going to kick people off their private plans. We're not going to get rid of private health insurance. But, like, if you're not engaged in the process, you may not realize, like, that's kind of not really an option. Like, the reason that Bernie fights for deleting insurance companies is because Medicare for all cannot exist right now because the medical industry is so rife with corruption and overpricing and things like that. So, like, yeah, like, I think most people agree, like, yeah, our medical systems are broken, but they don't know the answer. So they're just looking to whoever the most likable white guy is in the room to tell them which way to go.
Yeah, which is apparently Biden.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, our values still hold true. Biden gets the nomination. We're not going out and voting for Biden. It was funny. I posted that Blue No Matter fucking who clip to some Reddits, to spread the word, right? The good word. Yeah. And someone posted that fucking story, like, comment to that story, like,
posted a whole fucking pamphlet. Yeah. In our comment section, bro. It's like, I cannot believe you would tell people not to vote if they don't get the candidate you want. Do you think politics is some kind of game? It's just. clearly you don't understand. So I hope you're
Dude,
listening.
the fucking, we're already getting blamed for fucking Biden losing to Trump.
Yeah, Biden hasn't even lost yet, and they're already mad at us, man.
Oh fuck. I mean that sucks. But you know, what are you gonna do, bro? We want the fucking change we want, dude. Like, not some fucking random old man who just was okay with the status quo, right?
Absolutely, never forget it.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much them debate in a nutshell. Bernie needed to crush, like we said last week.
Yeah.
Bernie needed to absolutely dominate and dom Biden live on stage.
Yeah. And he fell a little bit short of that.
Yeah,
so like, to be fair, like, to be a little less doomer, like, just to put a cap on this discussion, the race is not totally over, but like, in terms of just mathematically speaking, without even taking into account Joe's momentum going into the rest, which is terrible for Sanders. Even if you just discount all that, mathematically, if Sanders wanted to have a shot at winning plurality in the convention, he would need to win like 60% of the remaining delegates. So like, yeah, the chances that he does that are extremely low. I'm not gonna lie, it's extremely low. But that doesn't mean don't vote for him.
I mean, we have states like Georgia, Louisiana, fucking Kentucky still need to vote. Like all these southern states still, which will definitely go to Biden.
Yep, definitely.
Sanders is 300 down, almost 500 delegates down right now.
Yeah, I mean, his chance of winning is pretty low. A lot of people though are saying that if he could push Joe to the left, that would be good. And I don't want to talk about this again because we talked about it in the last episode. But I mean, we've kind of discussed a little bit why that's kind of a failing ideology, and it's one of our biggest gripes about the centrist people is, we're not interested in pushing neoliberal people to the left. Like, we're interested in having an actual leftist in office.
Fuck, so it's so that's not hard, good enough. Dude. It's so hard, man. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I'm
Corona's
cool just
fucking more left than Joe Biden, to be honest.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, fucking Rand Paul got coronavirus, man. I'm actually like, of course, we would never advocate for death on this podcast. That's not what we do. But I'm just saying, Rand Paul is like high fucking risk to die from that. It's very ironic because he.
Oh yeah, I think he's not quarantining himself, right?
Well, he wasn't originally because he was kind of denying that he had it, but then he got the test and he's like, okay, fine, I'll quarantine. But he was on the Senate floor for like 6 days after, like,
oh my God,
getting the virus.
He's killing he's gonna fucking give it to everybody, dude.
Fucking, like, and I hate him already because he's the dumbest, like, fascist libertarian in Senate at all, period. He's very stupid and I hate him. But like, he got beat up. This is a great story, by the way, that I didn't know about Rand Paul. He was living next to this guy who was a moody neighbor, and Rand like stacked up a bunch of trees and logs and like leaves in a big pile on the edge of his neighbor's yard. And his neighbor like came and told him to move it, and Rand said no, and his neighbor beat the fuck out of him, and he had to get a lung removed. Because he got ass beat so bad for piling up trees and brush on his neighbor's lawn.
He had to get a lung removed?
He got like parts of his lungs removed, yeah.
Oh shit.
So like now that he has corona, he's like a high risk for pneumonia and like post-infection shit, which is terrifying for him. But very ironic because he was on the Senate floor saying like how we're blowing this out of proportion, like how the average Americans aren't even gonna feel. Yeah, it's like
God, I wonder how many people person. I wonder who's gonna be like the first big name to like pass away from corona.
It's hard to say, man. Like most rich people will be fine because they have the best medical care available.
Yeah, right. They'll like give this man the hidden cure. Fuck, dude.
Yeah, like I remember seeing this thing where like I think it was in Michigan where like 50 something NBA players from Michigan all got tested, even though only like 60 people in the entire state got tested. So like 99% of the tests in that state were used on one NBA basketball team.
One NBA team. I mean, dude, fucking sports are more important than the people, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously.
It's interesting. But how has your life been changing recently, man? Like, do you want to talk about maybe your parents a little bit?
Fuck yeah, my parents recently came back from Egypt. They were on I think it was like a just an anniversary like vacation type deal.
Yeah.
Thank God they're not sick.
Yeah,
they came back fine. My dad, since he was like gone for 2 weeks, like the whole corona news kind of just like flew by him. And
That's
like,
crazy.
I had a, broke it down to him, and he was, I feel like the next couple of days he was like in denial, like kind of joking. He's like not that worried about. I'm like, yo, listen, this shit's like serious, like really hitting him with the fucking facts. And I feel like he's like finally like, all right, like this shit is serious. Cause like, my dad's an old man, he's like 50, 56, around that age.
I mean, yeah, and he's probably never seen anything like this. I mean, like, when is the last time that something like this happened ever? It's crazy. Did you see that clip on Reddit or Twitter about like, the Big Brother house? You know that reality show where they get like a bunch of people in the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had like, apparently they isolate those people. So like they didn't know, like in 2016 during the presidential election, like none of them knew who won the presidency. Yeah. And then like they had a clip where they showed where they like told them Hillary lost, and like they were all super surprised, obviously, but we all knew because we were not isolated like they were. They had another thing recently where they were recording them eating dinner at the table and talking about how like, I wonder why there's no audience at our show tonight. That's really weird. Why would there be no audience? Because they don't know about the virus. Isn't that insane? That's crazy. So crazy, dude.
Wait,
imagine being on that.
Wait, they're just like they have like no access to internet or anything like that.
Yeah. Basically, it's just like a house of like bachelors that just get like live together, and it's like a reality show. But it's so crazy because they don't know that there's a virus. So like they're just all talking amongst themselves, like brushing it off. They're like, oh yeah, I don't know, maybe they had like production, some kind of like cleaning or something to do, and then they just move on to the next topic, not knowing that there's literally a global pandemic. That's art. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Big Brother, that is a garbage shit show. I fucking spit on that show. But that is very interesting, having that isolated
like
people.
Like just having no contact with anyone else. They're probably the safest though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Fuck. I mean, hopefully none of the production crew gets it or anything. That would be awkward. Dying from a disease you don't even know fucking exists. But yeah, I don't know. My life has changed pretty majorly. Also, like I said earlier, I have not left my house in over a week. Yeah. Which is weird. I mean, I'm kind of an introvert. Right? Yeah, today was actually my first class. I had my first Japanese class. It was really good actually, and like it was definitely slower.
Was it like webcam or like how is it?
Yeah. I didn't have a webcam, and I don't have one, and I really don't want to use one because I'm like kind of an anxious person, and I don't really want to like have a camera on my fucking face 24/7.
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to get used to. Like when I first started like Twitch streaming, I hated having a webcam.
Yeah, same. So like, I don't know. I think that she's gonna make me get one though, because I think the way we're doing it is we're taking like tests and quizzes and stuff, and she's just gonna be staring at us, like looking to see if we're cheating, which is fucking weird, man.
Well, like I see you have Google open in another tab on your glasses.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I'm gonna have to get a webcam soon.
God, how do you think like online schooling is gonna affect like everybody?
I'm not sure. Do you think that we're gonna move to more online school after this?
What do you mean by that? Like, will like online school be more like normal?
Yeah. Do you think like if this goes well, because this is such an unprecedented thing. Like there are literally thousands of universities
doing online school.
Yeah, across the country is doing it all at once on a week's notice, basically. Like if they can manage to pull this off, I think online university might become more common than it is now. You doing these like virtual meetings. Like maybe I could go to like New York University from Tennessee because I don't necessarily actually need to be there. You know?
I mean, depends how well it goes, but I think everything will go back to normal. What I'm more curious about is how like will this affect people's ability to learn, because people they might not be suited for online schooling.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That, like, will we see like a grade point average go down? Will what will this cause?
I think I agree with some of our friends saying like this is going to be the heaviest curved college grade like year of all time. I think that's pretty accurate. Like because you don't want to fail people because of the fucking coronavirus, like in them not being able to adapt at the last minute to like online, because like some people, I mean, online classes are already an option for some classes, and like some people intentionally don't take them because they know that they're not able to focus in the online setting or whatever.
Yeah, I don't
just
know
like thrusting it on them. I have no idea, honestly. I don't know. I think my attendance to class is going to go way up, but I think that the information I retain is probably going to go down a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like there's more, like, since I'm at school, I'm only, I'm fucking in class, might as well fucking, there's nothing else to do. I'm fucking here.
Right.
I spend my money on this shit. But, like, I'm out, when I'm at home, I could fucking, let me just walk away for 30 minutes.
Yeah, let me just play Hearthstone or like, jerk
Yeah,
off or something.
yeah,
I
mid
agree.
class. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about like the whole like jerking off mid class thing. Like,
Yeah, really?
no,
Yeah,
wait,
like the mid
wait.
Japanese class. Fuck.
No, I'm just saying like it's interesting, like, because during
Who's
Japanese
gonna
class, I
do it?
felt,
If you've already jerked off during your online school, tweet at us at the Let's
yeah,
Podcast.
please do.
Let
Yeah,
us know.
tell us. We want a detailed like fucking moratorium on how that went.
Fuck yeah.
I'm just super worried that they can hear me. Like, not that I was planning on jerking off in class. I wasn't, but I'm just saying, like, if I
Yeah.
were to be planning to do that, I would not, because I'm worried that they can hear me.
You accidentally put your push to talk on mid
Yeah, like
com.
right when I'm like, yeah, dude, like I would just kill myself on the spot. Like, I wouldn't even think about it.
Your Japanese teacher. Did I hear someone moan? Shit.
Damn, bro. Hite ka? Fucking yikes,
God.
dude. Anyway.
Corona.
um,
Yeah, but work too. Like, aren't businesses that aren't essential like closing down?
yes, businesses that aren't essential are supposed to be shutting down, but not every state has done that. Not every city has done that. I do have a slight work update though. I have officially quit my job.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So on Saturday, I called in and said,
I
I'm
was there.
quitting
Yeah.
because of the virus. Yeah, I did it on live chat with you. I was so nervous, dude. I get really nervous because, like,
He
I get on
needed
the show
he needed
and I
hype
talk.
man.
Yeah, I needed like background dancers for me for a second. Like, I get on this show and I talk shit about like the owning class and everything like that. But at the end of the day, I'm like just as much of an anxious nerd as like probably all of you guys listening to this are. Like, I'm not fucking Lenin himself. I'm not leading people into a fucking revolution. Like, I'm a scared,
Not
nervous
yet, bro.
virgin. Yeah, not yet. But like, so like just talking to my boss on the phone makes me fucking upset. So I got in Discord with all these guys and just basically said, yeah, I'm not coming in today or ever.
Or ever. That's how I quit. When I quit my
Yeah.
casino job.
Hell yeah, man. I'm
It's
just happy to be
definitely
done with it.
yeah. It was definitely easier through text. But
Oh yeah, 100%.
fuck yeah. It's it's a necessary thing to do. Like. If it's just more of a chance of you getting it, you giving it to your significant other. It's
Yep.
spreading if you guys aren't, always inside.
Exactly. And especially now that I've been reading, like, there's some evidence that even young, healthy people can have lifelong damage done to their lungs from like infection, like after they get to the disease. Makes me even more worried about it. Like, before, in the beginning, I was thinking, like, obviously I don't want to get sick. No one ever wants to get sick, period, ever. Like, that's not something you look forward to. But I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, well, maybe it'll be okay. Like, if I just get sick and get it over with, like, I'll just survive and be fine and then not have to worry about it and I can live my life. But then, like, I started reading these stories coming out of China and Italy about healthy young people getting pneumonia and getting like ARDS and having to be intubated and like having scar tissue on their lungs. Like, that
Yeah.
shit does not go away. Like, that's a
Fuck yeah.
lifelong illness.
Yeah, I still
And
think about it.
yeah.
Yeah, all the time. Like 9 episodes ago, like we were talking about, it was called Wuhan virus. And
Yeah.
it was like I didn't it was something that was interesting that was happening at the time, and because we saw that one video that that guy got out that you posted in Discord.
Yeah.
That was the first time I was hearing about it. It was like, oh my god, that's crazy. But I didn't
It seems so far
brush it
away,
off,
then.
right? It seems so far away.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
fuck.
Speaking of the Wuhan virus, though, what do you think about the fact that Republicans are trying to use that term? Because like a lot of science people
China.
yeah, they're saying like, I mean, like, it's kind of racist to call it that, and I think I would agree, because I think it's pretty clear that like when Trump says intentionally, he pauses to make sure that he's being adequately racist, basically saying like the Chinese virus or the Wuhan virus, and Rand Paul says this as well, and Romney and all these people, and like the point of that is to deflect some of the blame from the way that the U.S. has responded to this crisis. Don't you think?
I mean, I don't really like. It doesn't matter to me. I don't think. It is. Do you think it's like a racist thing that they're
Yeah, I
calling
do.
it like the Wuhan virus? But it originated in
Yeah.
Wuhan.
I agree, and I think that that's where they get you. Like, that's like where the like centrist mind goes. They're like, well, I mean, they're just saying it originated in Wuhan, but I think you can't.
I mean, calling it the Chinese virus, I think, is like that's kind of fucked up. But I mean, Wuhan is where COVID-19 originated from.
Yeah, but it's like they do it not to give you information. Like everyone knows that. Everyone knows it originated in Wuhan. Like we're all living through this right now. They're doing it to push a narrative. Like this idea that
China's fault.
yeah, exactly. Like this idea that China did something wrong that led to this, when it just as easily could have been any other partially developed nation.
I mean, do you
like,
think China's not to blame for like not treating this very poorly when it originally began?
Well, I mean, like, would you say that about the U.S.? Like,
I mean, I think. I mean, obviously, there's blame for U.S. for it spreading here and allowing so many people. Like basically, we weren't ready for it. But I think there's some blame to give to China still for allowing it to spread to everywhere because it was being handled so poorly. That was like the whole. That's what that originally 9 episodes that video we're talking about was about. How nothing's being done. Like people are still able to go out into the streets and like contact people. People were still able to leave Wuhan.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that it's a little bit. I think that it is true that it could have been handled better at the beginning. I definitely agree, but I think it's a little bit disingenuous to say that though, because like at the time, like this is the ground zero. They have no idea. Like they have no idea what the scope of this event is going to be. Like they're just playing it by ear, basically. And I think that it is true that they should have taken it more seriously. But like we're saying that now, it's just like sitting here in March 24th,
I mean, yeah,
knowing what happened after that.
Hindsight's
Like I feel like at
2020.
that time,
Yeah,
exactly. Like at that time, it's kind of unfair for you to say like they should have known how bad it was going to be. No one knows. Like, and that's the same with like the swine flu. It's like that was extremely bad. We had no idea it was going to be like that, and that fucked us up a little bit. And like this is way worse. So I think to say that they didn't do enough, while it's true, I think it's also a little bit unfair because there's no way they could have known that. But we, on the other hand, did know how bad it was. We had months to prepare for this to happen, and we still fucked it up. And I think that that is actually way worse than what happened to China, especially considering that China has pretty much solved this problem. I mean, like, the infection is still there, the virus is still there. But, like, in Wuhan, the place where it began, like a week ago, they released a statement saying like they've only had a handful of new cases and they're all like recovering, and they were able to tear down those extra hospitals that they built.
I mean, yeah,
so, like,
every country is to blame, for the the virus infecting their people, right? Italy's like on total fucking shutdown. It's I don't know why, but like it's super bad in Italy. What do you think that? Like, why do you think like this virus is like fucking? There's so many cases in Italy, more cases than in China now.
I think it's because of the distance, like the social distance between them. Italy is like very packed, jam packed. Like all of their population lives.
I mean, isn't China
in
like
the
that
north.
as well?
China's like that, but they have a bigger area. Like they have more people, but bigger area. And they do have like these hustling, bustling cities, just like we do, and just like Italy does. But Italy is like all cities. Like northern Italy is where like 85-90% of the people live. So like that entire southern part of Italy is mostly farmland and vineyards and shit. Like that's not where people live. So as soon as the virus landed in northern Italy, that basically doomed like 80% of Italians to get the disease at some point.
Honestly, it's fucking wild. Like, how do you think? Like, what do you think about the future, Corona? Like, how do you think it's gonna affect us? Is it gonna get worse? Or are we seeing the light at the end of the tunnel?
I definitely see a light at the end of the tunnel, and I think it has to do with the ideology of the people going in. I think that this virus, as bad as it is to say, I think that we have to appreciate the fact that this virus is illustrating a major failure of the capitalist system that we live in. And I think that even in times of tragedy like this, we have to take opportunities when they're given to us. And I think this is a great opportunity to help people understand what we are talking about when we're talking about this system. But in terms of like actual human suffering, it's pretty fucking dark. I think millions of people are going to die. I think in this country alone, over 1 million people are going to die from the disease. And I think it's just a matter of time. And I think that most, experts agree about that. And I mean, like, I'm not just making this statement. Like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But this is what I've heard. And I tend to agree with these experts. Exactly. And they seem to think that, yeah, I mean, the death toll is going to be, in this country alone, over 1 million, probably more. And depending on how we respond to it, it could be as much as like 3-4 million people. And like, I mean, we're talking about 1 to 2% of the population of the U.S. just dying from this preventable.
It's crazy because like we have like millions of really old Americans, right, in like nursing homes and shit, and like those are gonna be the most susceptible, to the illness.
Yeah.
And fuck, I mean, like, what's it say, for Medicare for all, and hopefully this shows people, like, people need, like, to be able to go to the doctor frequently. People, like, shouldn't be scared, we should have sick leave, like, you can't, don't go to work, like, if, like, fuck, I don't think anyone should go to fucking work right now, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone should be quarantined, rent should be fucking, like, stopped.
Yeah, we should talk about that too. Like, what about that economic stimulus bill that the House was trying to pass?
House Democrats proposed the $1,500 per person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the the Senate Republicans were basically trying to pass a corporate bailout economic stimulus, quote unquote, like basically wealth transfer up to the wealthy owners of the country. And the House Democrats actually just recently, a couple of days ago, voted that down. And a lot of libs too, as Republicans and libs and everyone, were basically saying like the Dems should have just signed this bill because America is in so much pain right now that we literally need the money. And I think that Pelosi, she made a good response. Like, I don't like her, but she made a good response, basically saying like the Democrats cannot support this bill because it is a purely a corporate bailout, and like it does not do anything for the workers of America. And I definitely agree with what she said. I agree with that statement. I agree with what Liz Warren said about it as well, which is very similar to what Pelosi said. But at the same time, like, do you think that they're going to be able to make any progress on that? Do you really think they're going to give us money or cancel our mortgages or cancel our rent payments? Do you really think they're going to be able to do that?
I mean, honestly, I think like shit would need to get worse for that shit to happen. Like, fucking people need to start dying in the Senate for them to finally like realize like, holy shit, even our wealth can't save us from COVID.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't know. I mean, there have been some progress made. Like, some states and some cities are basically telling landlords like, you can continue to charge rent at this time, but you're not allowed to evict people, which is a very, very interesting, very leftist policy. Rent. Exactly. And like, that is a very interesting concept because like a lot of leftists would fight for that even in times of peace. But some people like Joe Biden even have said that the COVID pandemic is a lot like being in a war with a foreign power. And I mean, like, kind of I agree with that. And I'm not like, imperialist like Joe, but I kind of agree with that statement. I think like in times of crisis like this, the best response is to nationalize these major industries like the airline industry, like the cruise line industry, like the logistics industry, like Walmart and Amazon. Like these kind of things, if we just nationalize them and give that ownership to the people, like where it belongs, in the future, pandemics like this can be avoided and mitigated. So I think that it's interesting that they're going to that as their answer to the question, because I think that all of us as socialists agree with that. That is a very socialist thing to think, and I agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I feel like we're in a time where, it's a good time for, our socialist policies to be put in place, but I feel like it's also a time for people who are already abusing the working class to further abuse us.
I very much agree. And if any of our listeners wanted to read a book about that topic, a great book, by Naomi Klein called The Shock Doctrine. And it's exactly about what you're talking about, David. It's about how like fascists and right-wing conservatives use times of panic like global pandemics or like hurricanes or natural disasters. They use it to pass right-wing legislation. And I think that that's a great read. It's very depressing, but it's a great way to kind of help you understand what David is saying and how true that really is.
Yeah, like fucking, like they'll pass. It's like the sneaky shit. Like, oh, let's pass this fucking quick, like that. No one's gonna notice.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. While everyone's dying,
then all of a sudden, fucking slavery's legal again.
Yeah, exactly. Like 10 years passes, everyone looks back and like, whoa, how did we let that happen? But it's already too late.
Yeah, it's already too late. Trump has already become the king of the United States. Fucking Donald Trump Jr.
Hell yeah.
He's the new president now.
Hell yeah, man. I can't wait to vote for him. My big wet boy. Anyway, so I think that Corona is probably going to be like a weekly installment in this show for a while at least. We're going to probably talk about it. So buckle up, and that'll probably, replace our mauling about the nomination process going on.
Yeah, basically covering fucking, humanity's decline into fucking madness.
Exactly. Hell yeah, man. I can't wait.
God, but talking about fucking declining into madness, dude. I have a crazy story from one of my coworkers. And I
Yes,
feel
is
like,
the same guy from before?
yes. Okay, so
I
we
can't
talked
wait.
about this a little bit, I think 2 episodes ago. I believe so.
Something like that, yeah.
I said something around the lines of, so he was telling me one of his friends like summoned up a portal, right? And like I basically had that much information. So now I have the whole entire story. So like, where do I begin? Fuck. So we close up the pizza shop, and so as we're about to close up the pizza shop, I'm like, hey, like we're about to clock out. I was like, hey, you never told me the story, right? And here I was thinking, like, oh, it's gonna be like a 15-minute discussion about, just give me the rest of the shit. But he goes all the way back to when he was in a Christian school.
Right.
So he said that he was in Christian school and he never really believed, like at a young age, like they were basically trying to convert him, right? I mean, indoctrinate him into Christianity, right? And he never really believed any of that stuff, like, and, Jesus was able to do this like magic shit. And he was like, what? Like he was like, he just didn't understand it, right? So he never got indoctrinated. And then his mother passed away when he was a young age, and that really like hit him deep. What's it called? Apparently, like one of his classmates was like making fun of him, doing like fucking your mama jokes, right? And he's like, apparently like he packed away in his lunchbox. He has like a knife to cut one of his foods, right? And it was basically saying like, if you say that shit again, I'm gonna stab you, right?
Oh my god.
And these girls overheard that, snitched on him. Apparently the kid who he said that to, his parents was like, they donated to the school and shit, so like nothing, he didn't get in trouble. But my friend, my coworker here, he got expelled that day, and basically the next day they put him in public school. So he was in public school for the first time, met new people. He was like an outsider, right? He was like very like this, he was brought up, in this Christian schooling up until middle school, right? They dropped him in public school. He meets he gets his like first girlfriend. He like gets into his like his like new group of friends are like kind of like goth kids. This one girl came out to him apparently and said like, hey, like we're gonna be friends now, and she was like some goth girl, right? And now he was like part of this goth like club, I guess, right? He was like, and that's when
posse.
Yeah, and that's when like he started first hearing about like Wiccan shit, like witches. Have you ever heard of like Wiccan?
Yeah, the religion, Wicca. Yeah,
Wicca.
I have some people that unironically believe that. Yeah.
So basically, that's when he started hearing about like Wicca and stuff like that, and his friend had like magic books and like spell books and like Ouija boards, right?
Yeah.
And so he was telling me one time they wanted to go to like his I think his grandparents was watching over him. He wanted to go to this sleepover party with like it was a bunch of boys and girls like mixed, and like his grandparents was like, his grandma was like, no, like that's unacceptable. But basically like the other person's parents came over and told him like, oh yeah, they're gonna be separated and stuff like that, and curfew's gonna be 10 and blah blah blah, basically like lying to her, right? And then like as soon as he gets in the car, she's like, do you want like, what do you want, cigarettes? Do you want things? And she apparently that person got him like 2 cartons of fucking cigarettes. And then, like when they got over there, like basically he was already like 6 cans deep into beer, and like this kid's like, he was like super young. I was like, he was probably like, I want to say like 12 at this point, and like like he's already getting to like these alcohol, cigarettes. But not only that, apparently he had a friend like they had like a friend of the group, which apparently became his best friend later, goes to him or goes to the group. He was like, so anyone wants some of these pills, right? And he takes out a bunch of fucking pills, puts it on a fucking like a paper plate basically, and there's just a mountain of these pills, right? And he's like, all right, so who wants some? So he grabbed, he's like, yeah, I want some, and like 2 other people, and then they take the pills and they fucking like open them, right? And then he fucking snorts that like line of fucking mixed pills, and like
what?
And basically like all he remembers from that is like doing that and then like stumbling in the hallway, and then like falling on the floor, or like falling on the floor with someone else, right?
Yeah.
And then God, this was like he told this like story, and like it took 2 hours to tell the entire story. And so like we closed the store at 10, and he was still in. I didn't go home until like at least almost 1 in the morning. So right, he gets
shit.
so basically he's telling me his upbringing and like stuff like that, and basically after that night, they did some Ouija board shit, and like he was saying more of this like Wiccan shit, right? And he wanted to get into that shit. So, he got his own like spell books.
After all that?
Well, basically as he got more integrated with this group, right?
Yeah.
He got his own spell books and shit, and got more into like Wiccan, and he wanted and basically he was like looking into this like dark magic shit, and he's like, fuck it, I want to like I want to know if this shit's real, like I want to know if I can like actually do this shit, right? So he's like, all right, I'm gonna do my first test. And what he does apparently for his first test is, so apparently how it works is like he fucking sends all his like you have to think about like you have to really believe in it for actually to work. So like he apparently his first test subject, right, was this one kid who was like annoying or something like that. But basically he said he made him like go mad. He went insane or something like that. He did it. He sent all this like negative energy towards him, like this hate and like malice, right? And like apparently the kid wanted to like the next day the kid like ran outside and like tried to fucking hang himself or something like that, right? So he's like, oh my god, this shit works, like this kid's like gone insane, right? And he's like, I did this, right?
Yeah.
He's like finally sees that this like Wiccan shit's real, and like he can control like black magic, right? And then basically he got and then like another story he tells me, like when they were younger, they were going to the graveyard, right? Him and this girl and another dude, and like they go there, and apparently the girl was like, oh, I feel some like dark, and I feel something bad, like we gotta go, right? And they said they all sensed it, and then like they were like, we're running away, and then like apparently like she did a spell and like banished this like dark energy, right? And he said he saw that, and that's when he started like, oh, I want to do this shit, right? So that's when he did to that kid. But then he got a girlfriend for like 5 years, of 5 years, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna stop doing this shit, like I understand, like if you don't want me to do this anymore, right? And then
wait, so he let his girlfriend like tell him not to do magic anymore?
Well, basically like, he understood like it's like dark magic, and it might be like weird, and like
okay,
Shane's
to
like
protect her.
Yeah, basically. And they were that all that happened. He loses his so I think what had happened was they were going out for 5 years. Apparently she cheats on him like with this other dude, and then his uncle, like, so he was telling me this story about his uncle, and like this is when he started doing magic again, right? His uncle,
so this is
like,
after he breaks up with the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently his uncle, like, is always a big guy, and he was like eating one day, and like his friend was coming, so his friend came over for something, right? And then he goes back inside, and his uncle's like choking on something, and then he like runs back outside. He's like, Heim, like my fucking uncle's choking, like he's dying, right?
Yeah.
And they go back there, and like he's a big dude, and they can't do anything, and the fucking guy chokes on like his steak, right? And his uncle dies like basically right in front of him.
What?
Yeah.
Holy
and like
shit.
He's officially declared dead, like went at the hospital, but like he fucking lost his uncle choking right in front of him. And like after that, like he felt like, he said after, like when he was in the hospital room, after his uncle was done, after his uncle choked to death, that he felt his energy saying like it was, it's okay, like, don't feel sad, something like that. And
did he have like something to do with that?
What, his uncle choking? No.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, just happened. But he did say, like, his uncle and I think it was his uncle and aunt who was taking care of him, not his grandparents. And his aunt and uncle, like, were super religious, and that's the people who had them in the school, right? like the Christian school. And like he said, his uncle was like so religious at one point that he blessed his own like bread and wine, and like he didn't even go to church anymore because he could just bless it himself, because he said that's how connected he was to God.
Wow.
And shit, right? And like, yeah, but basically that's what like felt, it gave him the urge to like do magic again and shit. Right. And I think he went to rehab. Then he tells me how he went to rehab because like he was doing like meth and like shit like that, right? He was in rehab. And then this one girl, basically he was like telling him, you know, he can do magic and shit. And she's like, oh, can you do magic? He's like, yeah, I can make you a good luck charm, right? So apparently like he takes this girl's mood ring because he's like, I need something of yours that's like special, like that means something to you and that has a lot of meaning, right? So he takes her mood ring, cups it in his hand, you know, and like sends this like good energy and like life magic, right? There's like a yin and yang when it comes to magic, you know, there's dark and there's light. It's like light magic. And what he says happened is like when he did that to the mood ring, that the mood ring wasn't like one color and it was like a multi-colored, like it was broken basically, right? And basically handed it back to her and she was like, oh my god. And he was surprised himself because he's like, fuck, I can do dark and light magic. And then he said he's like, he considered himself like a gray wizard, like a gray magic user, right, after that. And basically, is that
like someone who can use both?
Yeah. And he was telling me like, and then like basically that girl's life was like better after that. And apparently like there was a lot of like complications and shit and like of her with her and her mother like going on, but then like they rebonded and reconnected and shit. And like basically like the good luck charm worked, is what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
And then so now we're finally getting to the part where like his friend opens up this portal, right? Okay,
I can't wait. I'm on the edge of my seat here.
So he had this friend who apparently was doing like after they got back together after a bit, and like they were friends, right, old friends, and it was basically like, hey, it's been a while, but like, hey, look, I can do magic now too, like good dark magic. And basically he put him in this like he sent him in this like this dimension where like imagine like if all the real life graphics was like set to like this is how he said it, like Minecraft, and like everything like just looked not right. It was like he was in another dimension. It was just him and this other dude, no one else. And he was like, wow, like he like, see, like brought him this to dimension. And then like I think they were doing like magic on each other, like just making each other like see shit, and like they were just like fucking around. And then the guy's like okay, now like look at this shit. So the guy like starts making like a pentagram in the sky, and you can like see the circle and like the lines like forming. And like he knew, it's like this is like some like world ending shit. It's like if you do this, like humanity will be fucking like gone, right? He's like, I can't let you do this. I have to, like, I'm not gonna let you, like, you have to stop now, like. And he's basically saying like, no, he's gonna let it happen. And apparently he stops the pearl from being made, and they go back into like the real world. And like ever since that, like the dude is gone for 3 days, and like he doesn't see him again. And then like he shows up one day randomly to his house, and there's something like off about him. He walks past him, goes straight into his house, and like stares at his like refrigerator, I think that's what he said.
Whoa.
And then like he's like, dude, are you okay? Like, what's up, man? It's like he was calling him, I forgot his name, but I forgot his friend's name, but he was like calling him by his name. It's like, hey, dude, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, hello? And like and then he walks out of his house, like walks straight to his car and tries to open it, like still not saying a single word. And he's like, hey, dude, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, hello, do you need something? He's like, I need some water. And then he sits down finally, and he gets him this water, and he kind of feels like he knows what's going on. He's like, what's your name? And he's like, what's your real name? He thinks that his friend's possessed by a demon. He's like, he's not gonna answer that. Basically, I'm not gonna answer that. Like, I'm not gonna tell you my real name, right? Or no, he said something like that demons have to like respond, like if you call them, like, but like if you say what's your real name, they have to tell you. And apparently, like, you know, the demon told him, right? I didn't ask them like what the demon's name was because I was just like,
Probably
it was just
a good idea.
All right. And okay, and during this shit, keep in mind like a lot of weird shit was happening as well. So the first weird thing that happened during this thing, so one of my coworkers who was a cashier, they forgot to clock out, right? So I texted them like, hey, you forgot to clock out, I'm just gonna put you like 10 minutes past like when you were supposed to leave, right? And then I tried calling them and they didn't pick up. And then like mid conversation while I'm talking to this guy, she picks up and she's like sobbing and crying. Whoa. And like telling me like, you know, something like happened between her and her husband, and then like she basically like she was like going to his parents' house. And I was like, okay, and that was weird. Like while this guy's telling me this fucking story. And the second thing that happens that was super fucking weird. This guy, so we're outside like right in front of our job, right? And like basically in a parking lot. And like this guy, and so there's this car, right? And this guy gets out the car and he just starts going, bang, 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 and he's like walking towards like he's like down, like he's like he's probably like maybe 40 feet away from us, right? And
Wait,
he's like
saying
walking,
the word bang?
He's like, yeah, and he's walking towards this like liquor store, going, bang, 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 and he walks like straight. He keeps on walking towards, going, bang, bang, and I'm like, dude, like me and this guy are looking at each other, fucking goosebumps, like, yo, what the fuck, is this guy crazy? Like, what the fuck is going on? And then he proceeds to get in his car, bang, one more time, for good measure, I guess. And then they just drive past us. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's gonna pull a fucking gun out and pop me and this guy right now. But no, it was just like, and I saw who was driving. It was just an old lady, and like probably like a guy in his maybe like 20s, right? And like, and they were just both looking straight, normal faces. Like they had no weird face on. They weren't even talking to each other, and they just drove by. And they just left.
Holy shit!
I was like, what just fucking happened, dude? Like, like what the fuck? Yeah, and that was like the crazy shit that was happening like during that, and like. Past that, I was just sketched out by like every car that was like that passed by us, and I was like, fuck, like I'm gonna die. Like, yeah, I was sitting down like, let me stand up just in case I need to fucking book it. But yeah, so back to the story though, like, so this guy, you know, he stops his friend, you know, this friend's like, he thinks his friend's possessed, right? And he says he puts some like energy in that water cup to like, I guess hurt the demon or take the demon out. And the demon's like, oh, I know you did something with that water, I'm not drinking it. And he takes the good chant, whatever is on it, off, and the guy drinks it. And basically he was telling him, like, listen, you need to get this shit out of you, like you need to give it to me, or like give this shit out of you, because like this shit's not good, like you don't need this, right? Yeah. And he told him, like, there's only like, if you won't give it to me, there's only one thing you can do, or else like I have to do something. You have to go to the graveyard at twilight and put whatever you have in your pocket and bury it. And like, I think that, and you'll be fine, right? And the person said, no, I'm not gonna do it. Like, I like this power, or something like that. And he's like, all right, like I have no choice. I'm gonna send you to the burning lands, is what he calls it. Whoa. And what he does is like, he does like that magic show I was talking about, and he sends all this like hate and malice and this dark energy, and it's so concentrated like it's never been before, right? To this dude. And apparently,
so the guy with the demon, right?
Yeah. Within like 24 hours, this guy is found dead because like a group of people beat the fuck out of him, like killed him.
Oh
right?
My god.
Yeah. And like, so my coworker single-handedly saved everyone on Earth. Holy shit. Banished a demon to the burning lands.
Well, but he also, an innocent mage died though. But I guess like he wasn't strong enough to like overcome it, right?
I mean, like, he was a Mexican black magic user. I mean, fuck, dude. Like, yeah, but like that was like I obviously condensed it for everybody, but that was like a 200. That was like a 2-hour conversation that I had with this guy, and it was absolutely insane.
how was he like when he was telling you this story? Like, what was his demeanor? Like, was he
Like,
super serious?
yes, he was super serious. Like, and like when he got to like people who he like lost, you know, obviously he was like a little teary eyed, and I noticed that. And I was
Yeah,
like, and I was wondering like if he just needed to tell someone like you
yeah,
know, like if he need like I was like just something like you know because he had a lot of loss in his life, like drug use at a young age. Like he lost his uncle, his
wow,
mother, and apparently like I think that I don't think he mentioned it, but like he came to his own conclusion that like his 5 year girlfriend, she apparently I think she also passed away, right? But like here's the thing, the conclusion he came to, like you know, since like magic's all yin and yang, and there's always like there's dark in the light and there's light in the dark, right? Shit like
yeah.
that. That like once he did this like malice and hate towards this guy and like basically killed him, right? You know, it's you know tit for tat, right? You know
Oh, so
that's why that person died because she was so like pure and innocent and good that like that you know it needed you know it was cool in exchange, you know.
oh, like a life for a life kind of
Yeah,
thing. Wow,
yeah,
wow, that is insane. What the fuck, dude? So
yeah.
wait, does he still do magic like to this day?
He says he's been you know like basically like he's basically tried to like you know stop doing that shit, and he doesn't really tell people. He said like that I was the first person he's ever told like his
Wow,
whole story to.
holy shit, David, that is insane.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, like you know, I was like just you know trying to you know like what do you think, dude? I was just trying to give him like an open mind, just trying to hear him out. Like,
Yeah,
what do you think? Like
I mean,
psychologically, like what do you think about this
I
whole
mean,
story?
his life just sounds tragic, man. Like Jesus, like having your uncle die, like having your fucking girlfriend die because you did magic or like you think you did magic to kill her and like having to like save humanity from a demon and like do drugs at a young age and like holy shit, man. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, dude.
You
I
know?
was telling you some deep ass shit, bro.
Damn, man. That's insane. Like it's very fascinating to me because like I mean obviously I don't believe in a lot of
Yeah, and
this like
like
supernatural stuff, but like the human aspect of this story is very
yeah,
fascinating.
like like that was like, like I told him, like, there's no way you're, like, there's no way you're lying to me because why
Yeah,
would you lie? Tell me this intricate lie over 2 hours and then even feel emotion, like almost like crying
yeah,
and stuff like that, you know? It's like, this is very real to you.
yeah, exactly. Like clearly this story means something to him, whether or not it's like real exactly how he said. Like clearly he believes it's real, and
Yeah.
like that's crazy, man. Holy shit! Like, were you able to confirm about this guy's death or whatever?
No, no, no. Like, basically, like, I was like, you know, he told me, and like, honestly, my vibes for that night were fucking really
Permanently
fucking
fucked vibes.
like, yeah, my vibes are not fucking, you know, I needed to be vibe checked, but like, I didn't look into like, you know, validating his story, like, looking, because you know, I didn't get any first or last names. I just took
Yeah,
it at face value. What he was telling me was, you know, just the truth. But you know,
I mean I
obviously,
think
I don't
that's all you
know,
can do.
you know, but fuck, I mean, it was deep. Like, I'm glad that I was there for him to like, you know, because you know he's never told anyone before, and
Yeah,
I'm hope that was like a lot of weight off his chest, off his
yeah,
back.
absolutely. Because mage or not, I think sometimes you just need to talk to someone. You know,
Yeah,
that is crazy, man. Holy shit, I've never heard a story like that in my life. That is
yeah, me
crazy.
neither, dude. How do you think I felt like fucking like sitting there and listening to this guy? I was like, oh my god, like
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, that is so crazy. I don't know. I've definitely met some people who kind of like glancingly are into that, you know, Wicca stuff, like the kind of witchy, like mage stuff.
yeah, I mean, yeah, me
Um,
too.
but
I had an
never like
ex.
on that level.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like believed in like the rocks and like you know obsidian and
Yeah,
gem stuff, you know. But like
that is
I never
crazy.
met someone who was like who claimed they were you know a wizard essentially.
Yeah. Holy shit, dude. That is such a heavy story, man. Thank you
Fuck
for
yeah,
sharing that
deep.
story with us, man. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I hope your coworker has a better life from here on out. I
yeah,
hope
me too,
dark
dude.
magic does not take him over like his friend. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
fuck yeah, definitely some crazy ass shit. Like if you guys ever fucking, experienced any magic, or like you believe, what you're talking about, or are a Wiccan, hit us up at, the Litz podcast.
Hell yeah.
Tell us your story. Send us some good energy too.
Yes, actually, send me only good energy. I don't need any negative energy. Like, I'm not talking shit about Wicca people, all right? I want good vibes coming towards me right now.
Yes. But for the philosophy of the, philosophy question of the week, more of a discussion really, that we like to have at the end of the podcast every week. This week I found something that I just wanted to talk about, and like maybe I thought we can get a good conversation about. So I was looking at this Reddit post, right, and this guy said something I thought could be interesting we talk about. So he said, if God exists and he reveals himself, would religious people actually accept him as God? If he produced a whole new Bible to set his record and wish it straight, would they accept it? If it was a Christian Bible, would Muslims and Jews convert? If it was a Muslim Bible, would Christians convert? Etc. If it was a Quran, blah, blah. I mean, if it was what's called Torah, would everyone else convert? Right.
So basically, like, if God, like the real God, actually came into the world, down. was like actually, these guys were right. Would the other people convert to that religion?
Or if he came down and made a new Bible.
Yeah, like would the existing Christians convert to the new Christian thing, basically? Yeah. Or like if we're talking about Christians or whatever.
Yeah, fuck. First of all, I want to hear what would you do if fucking literal God came down?
I mean, my first thought would be to go to like a materialist explanation, like just as like a scientist, basically saying like, I think that in the world that we live in now, there's not evidence really that God exists. So that's where my mind immediately goes. Like, what are my senses telling me the truth? Like, is this person actually omnipotent, all powerful? Like, and then if I did like all these tests and it turns out that in fact was the case, that they were God, like some kind of supernatural being, like I mean, I guess I would believe, I would believe in God.
Fuck, I mean, but like what now though? Like fuck, like
I don't know. Like I guess it depends. My emotions in that moment would be so fucking like a roller coaster, dude. Because on one hand, I'm like, okay, cool, I can go to heaven or whatever. Like there's an afterlife, I don't have to die. That's pretty chill. Dying's like the worst part. But on the other hand, I'm like, all this shit I've done in my life, am I really gonna go to heaven now?
Oh fuck no! But what if he came down and produced this new Bible and it was like, turns out fucking God's all right.
Ooh, then I guess the working class will have to uprise him, dude.
Fuck, like what do you do? I don't know, but what if like there is a new Bible and God, like is all right and fucking. Like if you're basically a fucking leftist, you go to hell. Like what then, dude? Like what then?
Would I want to be in heaven with alt-righters or be in hell partying it up with my fellow men and women?
Fuck, dude. But it's like,
I don't know.
That's like internals, like you're gonna be suffering forever, and like I don't know. That would be fucked to think.
I would rather suffer locked hand in hand with my brothers and sisters than to live lavishly among the capitalist class.
But I mean, it's not like that. It's gonna be like you're gonna have your fucking balls fucking tortured for all of eternity.
Cock and ball torture, 24/7.
The dream.
Little does God know, that's my fetish.
God,
I love a little CNBT, baby.
God, what would I do? Fuck, it'd be definitely like a lot to take in. But like, if God came down and was like, all right, listen, I am real, and like there is a fucking heaven and hell, I'd probably just like, live accordingly, I guess. Fuck, I don't
I guess. I mean, what else can you do at that point? I feel like if God descends from the heaven and like smites the guy next to you, turns like half your family into salt, and it's like, you better fucking listen to me. I mean, what choice do I have at that point, whether he's God or not? It's like he can turn my ass into salt.
Dude. Like, there's nothing I can do.
I sometimes think about that.
Do you think like we'd live in like would humanity like finally find peace or something like that? I don't know.
No, I think it would be worse. I think like all of the rifts that exist right now would just get worse. Yeah, absolutely. I sometimes think about this there are two ways to go about it, because like I sometimes think about this when it comes to aliens. Like, what if an alien species came to our planet and their technology was just had so far eclipsed us that we were nothing to them, like no more than bacteria to them, you know, like we're nothing compared to their capabilities. I sometimes think like if that were to happen, I actually talked with Grunt about this the other day. Like if that were to happen, I think that humans would start to see themselves less as like Americans, less as like Chinese, less as Japanese, less as like whatever, and see themselves more as just humans instead. I think that it would have a certain way of like bringing people together against a common like struggle, you know. But at the same time, I think like when it comes to religion, like if some people would choose to believe, some people would choose not to believe, and like that rift would just grow as more and more people like became alt-right.
I feel like if people who didn't believe would be like dissenters and fucking they'd be hunted down to extinction.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, do you think that like if God came down and like he actually did exist, like it's not bullshit, he's not an alien, like he actually is God, don't you think that you would have some kind of moral justification to like force people to believe at that point? Like if God actually were 100% real, no doubt about it.
I mean, like, it would be the same thing as like telling flat earthers that the world's actually round, right?
I mean, to a certain extent, but like if you had material evidence that God exists and like if you don't save these people, they are actually going to go to hell, like because you know that it's true. Don't you think that you would have some kind of conviction to actually save people? Like just the same way that people think right now who are religious. They think that they're actually saving people.
Yeah, I mean, I have first-hand experience about this. Like my step brother, I guess, because no brother-in-law. Well, I don't know what it is because my stepsister is married to this guy, right? But like he's super religious, and like I actually believes that like if he doesn't save us, like we're gonna go to hell, and like very deep into that shit.
Yeah.
God, I mean, it would be morally wrong if I didn't try to, right?
Right, yeah. I think that thinking like that kind of gives me a lot of empathy for religious people. Like because sometimes it's easy to think like what a dumbass. Like how do you not see what I see? But like if you really believed in that, you would feel like if I don't do this, I'm effectively damning people to an eternal life of suffering.
Yeah, because I have knowledge that they don't.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's a good mental exercise to do to relate more with religious people.
God, yeah.
Like to more concisely answer your question though, I don't think that existing religious people would change. I don't think that they would.
You don't think so? Because the whole thing about like Christians and Muslims and Jewish people, they basically it's the same religion. It's just they believe like the story is different.
They're all waiting for someone to come back, right?
Yeah.
And like, do you think if that person came back though that they would accept it? You really think they would?
Yeah, I think they would. Like if they
really,
because they like all basically the three religions they have the same God. It's just like the I don't want to be wrong, but I mean you're effectively right. It's like
Abrahamic religions, yeah. I mean you're definitely right, but like I don't believe that they would accept it, and I think that like this kind of exercise has been done before. Like the idea like if Jesus came back, like American Christians would basically like hate him because he would be a Middle Eastern Jew who like was brown, like
I'm not even like picturing this person to come down and look anything like us. Like what if this guy didn't look anything like what if this God didn't look anything like us?
Like, yeah, what if it was so blatant that like it was God, like it wasn't even a human being? What if it was like a manifestation of like life itself? It's some incomprehensible thing.
Like what if it was just like glowing light or like this fucking like just alien looking thing?
Yeah, something that like we can't even comprehend. I think that like I guess people would accept if it was on that level, if it was like that level of supernatural. I guess you would have no choice but to accept it. Like at that point, you would have to be an idiot not to believe.
The next thing I would wish for is like, please allow magic to be real.
Yeah, for real, man. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I'm trying to perform some fucking like you ever did. I mean, I'm just gonna admit this. You ever sometimes just like try to fucking summon a fireball from your hands just in case maybe that this time it might happen?
Definitely. When I was younger, yes.
I mean, I feel like even to this day, I still, like, what if I just and like fire out of my hands,
You ever just like
case, dude,
there's something across the room and you're kind of like flailing around looking for it, and then you see it on the other side and you're like, okay, this is my moment, and then you like concentrate really hard and you try to get it and you're like,
fingers to your temple.
Yeah. I definitely do that.
I mean, you gotta try every once in a while just to make sure that's it still doesn't work.
That is science. What is science if not that?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And with that, that's episode 19, right? I don't know.
Hell yeah.
We had to thank our Patreon. Thank you for supporting this podcast every week. Grunt980 and Zachary. We appreciate your constant contribution to this podcast every month.
Definitely. And Zach, sorry you did not win, but you had a 50-50 chance.
It was a 50-50.
And in our next giveaway,
lost the coin flip, bro.
Yeah. Hopefully in our next giveaway, you'll have a lower chance. No offense. But
yeah, but as always, if you want to support us, patreon.com/Left in the South. And that was episode 19 of Left in the South. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.